setting new standards in podcast excellence. You have joined the WBT, fully focused on business and taxes. Here is your host, Michael Lodge.
And welcome to the WBT. This is Michael Lodge. We are live today, and we are trying this for the very first time, so if I goof it up, I apologize. But we are live. Our conversation today is going to be about small business taxes. It's going to be about the Schedule C and what you need to report and what data you need and information you need to gather to prepare your tax returns. Hopefully you're doing it already. I'll be right back.
This is brought to you by Lodge & Co., a business and tax advisory firm where your success is our goal. Call us today toll-free at 888-681-1518 or visit us at www.lodge-co.com and learn more about what we can do for you. Lodge & Co., your source for sound business and tax services.
So I've been getting a lot of emails and texts and everything else that they can communicate with me with. And it's been the question about what do I need to keep in order to prepare my business return for the end of the year. Now, a lot of you are sole proprietorships, which means that you're going to report your income and your expenses on a form that is called Schedule C for business or profession. So I want to go over some of the items that you really need to focus on and what you need to think about for reporting your business income. Now, I want to stress this, really important, because you can be a small hobby and you still need to record your business in expenses. Now, the IRS at some point in time might say, hey, this isn't a loss. This is a hobby because you have kept it at a loss for so many years. So you're really not operating it as a business, you're operating it as a hobby. Make sure that when you're reporting this income and expenses that you really are focused on whether or not if you are a real business. If you're just trying to get a tax deduction, listen, the IRS will catch up to you sooner or later on that issue. So let's go over what is reported on the Schedule C for business or profession. Okay? Now, the form is really designed kind of like an income statement. Now, if you don't know what an income statement is, you need to learn very, very quickly. An income statement, not a balance sheet, but an income statement, records what your income is and what your expenses are. Expenses meaning what is allowed by the Internal Revenue Service. So, a lot of you, let's talk about your income, because a lot of you are getting 1099s. You're working for several different companies. You have given them a W-9, which explains what kind of a company you are, whether or not if you're a sole proprietorship, or if you have a corporation, or what kind of company you are. You've recorded that to your vendors, not vendors, but to your clients who you are working for. So you, at the end of the year, you will get a 1099 based upon what was on that W-9, and you will get a 1099 that is reported to you, but also to the Internal Revenue Service. That company who you're working for will take all of their vendors, all of their consultants, and report whatever they've paid to the Internal Revenue Service. So you're going to get a 1099 MISC, and you may get a whole bunch of them. Oh, gosh, I have some people have tons of them. Just tons of them. Then you've also got to think about, okay, what am I getting in as cash? In other words, what are you getting in as cash and what are you depositing in the bank? Because I'm a tell you that if you are getting cash in or checks in, and you're depositing them in your bank, if you should ever be in an audit, the Internal Revenue Service is going to ask for your bank statements. And they're going to go through and see what all kinds of cash went through your bank. Mostly in, because they want to know if you have missed any income. That is the number one thing that they will look at on the Schedule C is the income. Now, audits come. Anybody can be audited. Schedule C is one form that they look at very carefully. A lot of individuals decide, well, that's cash. I really don't need to report that. But if you put it into your bank account, and it's gone through your bank account, it is income. And the IRS is going to pull that out, and they're going to say, hey, how come you didn't report this $10,000 here? You have all of these bank deposits. For some reason, my lips are not moving with my mouth. Anyway, you have all these deposits here that you need to put into your bank account. And you need to report it onto your tax return. So you have all of that income that's coming in. Now, you may also have the expenses that are going out on your business. So we're going to go line by line so that you kind of know what's in each of these categories and what you should be recording as documents. You should have these documents available in case at any time that the accountant needs to see it or the Internal Revenue needs to see it. So we've talked about our gross receipts. That's all income that comes in. That is business-related income. Then we have all of our operating expenses. Okay? These include advertising, if you're advertising on the web, if you're advertising in newsletters, whatever your type of advertising that you're doing, you need to put that under advertising. Then you have car and truck expenses, which includes the year and make of the model that you're using for your business, the total miles driven for the year, the total business miles for the year, the total commuting miles for the year that you're not using it for business. And then they also need to look at your lease payments. If you have any lease payments, the gas, the maintenance and repairs, the insurance, the taxes, everything gets looked at. Okay? There may be a case where you are just taking mileage, but sometimes your expenses may be more expensive than your mileage. So it's an either-or situation. Then we have professional fees and dues. Those are like association dues. If you're a member of, like for me, for the National Association of Tax Professionals, or for the National Association of Certified Mediators, and the list goes on. Whatever professional association that you are a member of, you can record it there. And then that's also your professional licenses, if you're a member of the Chamber of Commerce, etc. Then you have insurance. Now, if you are in a profession like myself as a tax practitioner, I have to have what is called errors and omissions insurance, E&O insurance. And then you have all the other kind of insurances that go along with it, maybe general liability insurance, etc. Maybe if you're a nurse, you will have a nursing insurance, your malpractice insurance. Then you need to also record all of your legal and professional services, which is your attorneys, your accountants, your consultants, your bookkeepers, whatever professional individual that you have hired, that will go under that category. So legal and professional services that you've paid money out on. Now, if you've paid an attorney's fee for immigration services that has nothing to do with your business, you cannot deduct that. It has nothing to do with your business. Then you have your office expenses. That would be like mail systems, email systems, computer software, courier services, clerical services, furniture, cost, date, purchase, and description, equipment, cost, date, purchase, and description. Then you also have what is called Rent. In other words, what are you paying for rent on your office space? If you have an office. Then you have repairs and maintenance, such as equipment repairs, the office cleaning, other types of repairs on your computers. Maybe you had to replace a motherboard. That would be where that goes. Supplies like pens and paper, briefcases, greeting cards, business cards, cleaning supplies, other types of supplies that you're using to conduct your business with. That's what you have to put there. Then we have other expenses such as postage, stationery and business cards. You can put them either place, but stationery and business cards, bank charges, marketing and public relations, photocopy expenses, publications and subscriptions, gifts that you've given to clients, telephone costs, cell phone costs, internet costs, and then costs of goods sold you need to be concerned about also, which is what you bought as inventory. If you're in the sales business, how much you had at the beginning of the year, at the ending of the year, how much inventory you had left, and then any purchases that you had to make. Then under other expenses, you would also have to look at permits. If you had to pull any permits to build something, uniform costs, expenses. If you're a nurse, that's where your uniform expenses go. If you are an independent contractor. Continuing education would be course registrations, correspondence course fees, materials and supplies, reference materials, seminar fees, textbooks, etc. As for me, as an example, I have to get continuing education on taxation. I have to get all kinds of different courses in order to satisfy my licensing requirements. The same thing as a certified meat eater. I have a whole bunch of things I have to do for that. Excuse me. Travel expenses. That would be your airfare if you're traveling for business. Your tolls that you're traveling on miles to get to a client. Car rental, laundry, lodging. But don't include your meals there. That's lodging. And then you have your meals on a separate page because there are certain things that you have to know about that you can only deduct 50% of that, or there may be another applicable law on meals that have to do with your business. Parking expenses, if you parked at the airport, if you had to park in a garage to go see a client. Then office and home expenses. Some of you are using your home, a room in your home as an office. So you have to look at all of the utilities that go against that, the repairs and maintenance. If you're renting a place or mortgage interest paid that has to do with that business, real estate taxes, qualified insurance. A lot of you don't have to do this, but you have to know that you can do that if you need to. Then you also need to record your estimated taxes. Now remember, your estimated taxes were due on April 17th, June 15th, September 17th, and January 15th, okay? So you had to make estimated taxes, federal and state. And then payroll taxes. If you did any payroll, you have to do your payroll taxes, all the FICA, everything else that goes along with it. Then the property taxes, if you had any property that you pay taxes on, or business property, I should say, not real estate, but on business property. You'll get that property tax statement from the County of Los Angeles or wherever it is that will list all of the assets that you need to report on, or that they think you should report on. And then your business entity taxes. That would be your licenses and everything else that goes in there. Then self-insurance, self-employed health insurance should be considered. Wages to whoever you pay to family members, others, contract labor, commission, and fees. If you paid anybody as a consultant to you that was an independent contractor that you got a W-9 on them, you need to record that as an expense. Okay, so those are the things. But I want you to pay very close attention to what you are doing on your income. Don't be tricky. Don't underreport, because if you underreport on your income, the penalties and interest and everything else that they charge you, penalties and fees, they get big. And it's hard sometimes to get out of that debt because you've got all those penalties and fees that are mounting up if you're unable to pay those very quickly. So I want you to make sure that you are reporting your income the best that you can do. And I want to make sure that you take all of the expenses that you're allowed to take under the Internal Revenue Code. Okay? The other issue is that I hate it when people call me and are audited, because it's usually a Schedule C that's being audited. And we have to gather all that information. So if you can have that information throughout the year, it makes it so much better for the person representing you and also for the Internal Revenue Service. Make sure you keep everything that you're going to record, that you're going to report on your income tax return. Now, I've said this before. A lot of times when I ask the questions when I'm interviewing my client at tax time, and I see them looking up in the air, I know that they're looking up into the sky. I know at that time they are probably making some numbers up here. So be very careful, because Schedule C is really telling us how well you're doing on your business. Now, if we get into C Corps and LLCs that have a certain dollar threshold that they need to report a balance sheet, then that's another discussion, and I will go over that at a later date on the business entities of C Corps and LLCs and partnerships and everything else. But I really want you to focus on the data that you're going to be presenting to the Internal Revenue Service. Because remember, bad data in, bad results back. And the Internal Revenue Service wants to see that everything is matching up. And so should you, because you want to know really how well you are doing. At some point in time, if you have taken years of losses, and it keeps going on, the Internal Revenue Service will at some point in time come in and say, okay, enough of this. Let's look at your numbers, because I feel as though that you are now really a hobby. And then all of that income that you reported goes straight into income, and you're probably going to lose a lot of those expenses. So you need to make sure that you are running a business professionally, that you're collecting all of the information that needs to back up any expense that you take and also any income that you take. You need to make sure that you've got everything backed up. Now, again, if you have any questions on this, send me a text at 818-252-5682. Again, that's 818-252-5682. And I'll be more than happy to get back with you. I don't see anybody that followed me live today, so no one asked me any questions. That is life. You know, when it comes to talking about taxes on my podcast, not many people respond. But if I talk about anything else, like politics or anything else, I get tons of responses. But everybody wants to shut their eyes. They want to forget about this tax stuff. As soon as they see an envelope coming in from the Internal Revenue Service, they do not want to see it. They will put it to the side. They will hide it. They will do whatever until it's too late and they have to respond to it. And then all of a sudden I get this call, please help, please help, please help. Let's all be proactive in everything that we do in our business and our personal taxes. Make sure that we have everything backed up. It makes it so much easier. And you're running a legitimate business. Again, this is Mike Lodge. I'll talk with you very soon. Oh, by the way, if you want a copy of a worksheet for Schedule C, go to my website at www.lodge-co.com. Go to Client Forms, and you will see a form that is called, what is it called? Just one second, I'll tell you what it's called. It's called the Schedule C worksheet. And it's for small business, and you can also use it for if you're running a small S Corp or LLC or C Corp. You can also use it for that if you are preparing the records for the accountant to use. you can use this form to gather up all of your documents. Again, that's lodge-co.com. Client Forms, click on the tab that says Client Forms, and you will find it in there. I will have later on this week, I'm going to put up an Excel spreadsheet that small businesses can use and to gather up all of their information and work from there. Again, this is Mike Lodge. I will talk with you very soon. Thanks for joining me on my first live podcast. See you very soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the WBT with Michael Lodge. Join us again tomorrow as we explore more about business and taxes. Follow us on iHeartRadio and go to our podcast website at www.wbtpod.com and listen to all of our podcasts and read our blogs.
This podcast is produced by Michael Lodge, fully focused on content.